We're live. Hi, Pete.
Hello.
Along there. We missed you last week. Do you want to tell us what?
I've had my hip resurfaced like Andy Murray last Monday, so I'm recuperating. I can walk about a mile with one crutch now, so I'm getting better. But yeah, I felt like I'd been hit by a bus, to be honest.
Oh, well, I'm glad to have you back.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Hi, everyone. If you're joining us today, stick it in the box. Let's connect so that you can start to grow your network with us. And also, if you've got any questions, put those in the box too.
Hi, Sarika. Great to see you.
Oh, from India. Awesome. So, should we go on?
Go on.
No, you go.
Okay. So the first thing I'd like to say is, everybody, and I say this every week when we turn up, is feel the fear and do it anyway, right? All this stuff, getting on LinkedIn, posting, commenting, please, just the first thing is just do it. No harm will come to you if you do it and grit your teeth. Is that true, Hayley, or what?
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, look, Pete and I speak about this week after week, but LinkedIn is one of those things you do just have to do it anyway. Like you procrastinate about putting a post on LinkedIn and you get nothing. It's a bit of a tumbleweed moment for most. So, don't worry so much about these things. Just get on and do it and get yourself out there.
Yeah, and everyone will support you. It's a rather unusual platform. I think it's different to some of the others in that people are very much seeming to want to help people. It's got like an abundance mentality.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. Yeah. So I'm going to get stuck into some questions that...
Let's go. Well, hold on, Hayley, before you say that, someone just said I look like Jason Statham, all right? And I'm taking that. Thank you. I can't remember it.
I just glossed over it. Yeah. So, I'm going to pop it up here. What do you think of video CVs? So, I mean, we talk about quite a lot what you should include in your CV and how to get yourself out there. But I personally feel like video CVs are going to be the future. One of my clients this year actually requested that everyone that we had shortlisted send in a video so that they could see a bit of their personality, whether they fit in with the team. So I think I like them personally. I mean, what do you think?
Totally. I couldn't agree more. I think, what I've learned from doing my little videos on LinkedIn is that, brevity is very important. And, when you're doing a video that's like 2 or 3 minutes long, you're really going too long. So what you can do is if you are going to do a video CV, do a script.
Yeah.
And, try and learn your script, but make sure it's not too long. Get the salient points and make it like less than a minute or just over a minute.
Yeah. Actually, I was supposed to. So, Flo, if you're watching, he tagged me in a post actually, and I will have to go and find the link. But this one of his friends put a video CV on LinkedIn, and it was incredible. Full of life, vibrance. Any employer. I have to say, I watched it and I thought, if only I worked in your industry, I'd have you, interviews in a jiffy. But I think they're brilliant. Brilliant.
It needs to go in your featured section, doesn't it? You can dedicate your featured section to your online CV.
Yeah.
So, and what you can do as well. I mean, I have a video about how I make my videos. If anyone's interested, by all means, just tell us you're interested and we'll get it to you. It's basically, I jazz them up and put, and it's not difficult. I learned how to do it in 24 hours and I use iMovie. So you can have transitions and make things move and put titles on it and, just jazz it up a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm in the architecture and design kind of sector and they're creative. So get creative, show people your creativity.
Well, yeah. Good point. Especially if you're in a creative industry, you're going to be pretty left behind if you're not doing something creative, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the CVs that we get, they're not creative at all. They're boring. They're black and white, boring, full of information that you don't need. So, yeah. So we've got a question here. If any of you do have any questions, if you could put a QU or an emoji before your question so that we can pick it out, that would be great. But thank you, Sarika. How to make CV more effective and acceptable. So the first page of your CV is the most important. I did say this a couple of weeks ago. Hiring managers spend about 12 seconds to ascertain your suitability for the job that they are hiring. They have hundreds of CVs to go through, so they have to do it quickly. If you can't articulate your value in your first page, so your career summary, and then maybe put in some of your skills, etc., they'll move on to the next person if they don't have the information that they need to see if you're suitable for that role. So always tailor your CV to the positions themselves and make that career summary really punchy, full of life, bit of personality there, and add in measurables.
So I'd give a couple of tips, which are, one is I personally would put a photograph on my CV. I think the second thing is I would have like little emojis for, your mobile and stuff like that. And that creates a lot of white space, because the worst thing is, and I've looked at a lot of CVs myself, when it's just loads of text in big chunks and you're totally put off by it.
Yeah.
And the other tip I would say is try to dig deep into your personal life and find something that is interesting that you could share as one of your interests, rather than it just being, I like to go to the cinema. What is there something you like? I mean, it may sound boring, but maybe, if you're really interested in 19th century stamps, or I don't know, or train sets, whatever it is, it might make you stand out. Something unusual.
Yeah, I mean, I would just avoid any of the CV templates that you find online. They always say kind of, I don't know, highly professional individual. There's certain words in a CV that really just don't add any value. You want to be kind of looking at where you save time or money, things like this, to make a hiring manager think, oh, this is great. This is exactly what I need in my business. So, but thank you very much for your question.
Yep, great question.
So, how can I find a job in real estate? So finding a job in any sector is exactly the same. As our recruiters, we train them to network and go and find these people. So what we would advise that you do is make a long list of companies out there that pertain to the sector that you're looking to work in, and then list all the contacts at those companies. And you should have a list. So the company-wise, maybe it's 200, 250, and then do a list of all the contacts at those companies. You'll probably have 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe at each company. You'll have a good long list of people to contact, and then get yourself out there.
Great. And what I would also do is I would make sure my LinkedIn profile is completely set up to entice somebody from a real estate background. So keywords, if you were going to look for the job that you want to have, what are the words you would be putting into a search, and make sure they're in your profile, and make sure that when you look at your profile, you would immediately within 5 or 10 seconds go, that person's got to be this in real estate. They'd just be amazing. Yeah. And if you can't do that, you're missing a trick.
Yeah, I think the CVs and your LinkedIn profile are all about that. It's about the message that you're sending. You want to be enticing people. You want people to be buying from you. I mean, I like to think of LinkedIn as your shop window. So if you've got people coming to your LinkedIn page and they're not messaging, they're not showing any interest, see that as a sign that you need to start updating your details so that it looks a bit more interesting. So it entices people.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one to get, if it depends what your background is as well. If you've got background that's in other areas of expertise, then maybe you need to start rewriting the history to have a slight slant that suggests that it was always building up to you being in real estate.
100%. It's like when I say to people that via the academy, like, it's like going to a party and you don't tell, and meeting someone for the first time, you don't tell people your life history. They don't want to know everything. You just tell them bits that are bits of information that you have in common. So your CV, your LinkedIn should all be the same, really. Really kind of hone it in where your expertise lie. Right. So thank you very much for that question, Gulshan. So, Rajesh, how the CV shall be structured. Right. So first page, like I said, is super, super important. Put your career summary at the top, your contact details, but make sure your career summary is punchy, like we say. Then what works on our recruitment side is the first page. It's more like bullet pointed, really. So we will put the education, previous employers, computer skills, your contact details, and your career summary. Simple. And then afterwards, go into more detail. You know, that first page is supposed to grab somebody's attention and then entice them to read more of your CV. So I don't mind. There are some people that do say, oh, only one-page CV, and that just doesn't give enough information, unfortunately. Also, when it comes to recruiters searching on your details, they'll have thousands of, or even hundreds of thousands of CVs on their database. So they narrow them down by using the keywords that are in the job. If those keywords are not in your CV, then you will not come up in that recruiter's search. So use the rest of your CV real estate to go into detail about your experience.
Very good. And watch it with some of these templates as well. The system that goes through CVs and looks for the text. Sometimes it creates the templates create the text as part of an image. And if they do that, then the words within that will not be searchable. So that, you know, there's a fine line between a really nice design of CV that is pleasing on the eye, but then it can fool the ATS system and not be actually recognizable.
Yeah, that's totally right. And also it basically just scrambles the information. If you want to see how this works, go onto my profile, and I do post. I've posted too many posts in that sentence. So I have posted about this. So if you go back through my posts, you'll be able to find it and watch a video on what happens. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Be very careful as well, right? And you make sure, I go back to white space in any document, CVs particularly. You don't want it looking like a sea of words. You want it to have lots of nice bits of white space because that attracts the eye. But also, don't use too many fonts. You know, like 2 or 3 fonts. You know, what really gets to me is when people use, you know, mix fonts up and then aren't consistent. Just looks shoddy. So really, don't do that.
Yeah, what really winds me up is when people highlight words.
Ooh, ooh.
It's like they want to kind of highlight that they've got the experience that is in the job, but they're actually saying to you, you're stupid by highlighting words like that. And
be very careful with capitals as well. You know, the use of capitals, because in a lot of cultures, capitals mean you're shouting. Yeah. And you don't want to be misunderstood and for people to think, you know, the person who wrote this CV was shouting.
Yeah.
Funny image.
Some CVs I've seen, it's literally capitals all the way through.
Which that's hard to read because, you know, when you come from a place where capitals are shouting, you read it almost going, oh, that's... Yeah.
Also, colour is an interesting topic as well, because so some people have like red in their CV. Now, red signifies danger and a warning. So you're subliminally sending the reader a message that there's a warning about hiring.
Keep away from this person.
Yeah. So be careful about what colours you use as well, and maybe look up what the meaning behind the colour. Blue is used quite a lot because it's trustworthy.
Very good.
I see like big companies like Salesforce, LinkedIn even. There you go. They use blue.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good.
So thank you very much, Rajesh.
Cheers, Rajesh.
So Raj, does one need a resume, a shorter version with a CV? So for me personally, concentrate on that first page, making it really punchy, then go into detail after that. I wouldn't necessarily do two. I mean, you know, just keep it simple. You need to be tailoring it to the jobs that you're applying to. But I would say I don't mind CVs that go on a little bit. I really don't. What people don't realize is no one actually reads every single word. When you're going through hundreds of applications, you don't have that amount of time. So make sure that you've got all the keywords in there. People will just scan your CV looking for certain keywords that are in relation to the job. So I really don't mind long CVs, but just make sure that first page is really punchy so that the reader wants to know more information.
I've never known. It's new to me, Raj, about the idea of having two versions. I've always just stuck to one version, to be honest. An additional question from me, Hayley. What about the difference between a PDF and a Word document? How would you send your CV to a recruiter?
So some companies actually don't have an ATS system or a database like what we have, and so it can be easier for them to have Word documents so that they can amend details or take candidates' contact details off when they're sending them to companies. But really, so for me, don't use any kind of design software like InDesign, because the ATS system really doesn't like that kind of program, any kind of design software program. But as long as it's not password protected, it doesn't really matter whether it's a PDF or Word.
Fair dues.
Also, if you're talking about, you did say, Raj, one CV, I would never actually just have one CV either. So you will get far higher response rate if you tailor your CV to every single job you apply to. You know, think about your audience and what they are looking for. So never just have one CV. You want to be really thinking about how to attract that client and get them to call you for an interview. So make sure that it's tailored to the job that you're applying to.
I think that's a really good point, Hayley. And I think that you must really resist the urge to be lazy and think it's good enough, I'm sending it, because that is it's the little bits that make the difference. And if you want the job, make the extra effort and do the amendments to make it bespoke.
Yeah, totally. But thank you very much for your question, Raj. So all my questions just scrolled down to the bottom.
Oh dear.
I can see a question mark though. What recruiting agencies see in the candidate? Does references matters? And please share the best recruiting agency's contact details. Mine?
That's the one. You only need one to
So what agencies look for? So basically, when agencies are going through CVs or a list of applicants for a job, I actually did a bit of research on in the last year, a recruitment has had on average 750 applicants to each job. That's a lot. So it is a lot. So recruitment agencies and recruiters are trained to skim through CVs, looking for information. We also have a database that can search on the words in your CV to reduce that number, funnel it down. So what we look for is, first of all, keywords that are in relation to the job that you're applying to. So then it's kind of what the client wants, basically, what the hiring manager is looking for. So they'll be looking for like qualifications, computer skills, the keywords that are in the job, and projects, companies that you've worked for. So if you've worked for particularly good companies, that's why I say it's always good to put on your CV, on your first page, list the previous companies that you've worked for, because that can attract the hiring manager as well.
What I would suggest to you, Timur, and everybody, and this is like what I would always do is, if there's a specific job that I'm looking very keen on, what I would be doing is be hell-bent on trying to speak to the recruiter, because there'll be a load of people who just send a CV in and they're like, my CV will do its work. Guess what? Guess who they'll remember? It'll be the person who rings them up and says, oh, I wanted to ask you, I'm really keen on this job. I just wanted to get this tailored properly. Are there any key things you think I could put in there? And I really, at the same time, I just wanted to say hello and just, get to know you a little. People buy from people. Guess what? If they think you're a number, they're not going to buy from you or push you forward. If you're a person and they like you, you've got a better chance.
And it is really surprising how many job seekers out there aren't very nice, actually, in the way that they contact you. It's just a fact. They see a recruiter as you go and do this for me, do your job. But recruiters earn their money from the hiring managers, so we have to find people that the hiring manager wants. So a recruiter, in their world, in our world, we want to place every single person because we'd be millionaires. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So, be nice to your recruiters and kind of give them the information that they need to help you get that job.
Yeah, it's like an internal sales role. What you can't do is you can't be rude to the recruiter and then nice to the person who's going to give the job, because the recruiter will never let you get that far, because they'll put the people in front of the job who they like.
Yeah, to be honest, the rude people, you do remember them as well.
Yeah, there's no place for being rude. There's no need to be rude. I'm sure your mum and everyone else's mum said, say thank you and be polite. It costs nothing.
But, we're trying to work as a team. Recruiters are trying to work as a team to get you that job. Always remember that. We want to place you. So tailor your CV and help the recruiter out as much as possible. At the end of the day, it's your job to make sure that your CV is on point. That it's your CV at the end of the day. So putting in the extra effort will pay off.
Absolutely. Well said. Extra effort. Above and beyond.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Timur. That's a great question. So we've got some great questions coming in today. Raha, how can international freelancers find jobs in other parts of the world? It's exactly the same. So a job search is exactly the same, no matter what country you're in or no matter what industry you're in. Target the type of company that you would like to work for, the location, make a long list of every single company in that location and in your demographic that fits what you're looking for, and then find out all the decision makers, in each company, and start getting yourself out there. But make sure that you're sending the right message to these hiring managers. If you're sending a bit of we like to call it beige kind of message. I am an architect and I work in Dubai and it's like, oh, you put, next. I'm bored. And, just be a little bit different. Find out what that individual looks for in CVs. And I always like, ask them that question. What makes you make the decision to hire someone? Fact find from everyone that in that company, so that you can build up a picture. If it's a company you want to work for, but then you're fact finding and finding out tidbits of information to help you win the job. You're making that emotional connection with that individual. Yeah,
great answer. I think because of the world of the internet, and LinkedIn is a great example, like of my community on LinkedIn, a lot of my people are Indian, a lot of my people are American, a lot of my people are Canadian. And, it's an international world because the internet has removed the boundaries of travel. And, there will be a problem there going forward if you have to be there. But if you want to be a freelancer, one thing I would say is Fiverr is an amazing, that's Fiverr with 2 R's, is an amazing freelancing platform. And it depends what sort of freelancing you're doing. But the internet knows no bounds these days. You know, we are a global world, and it's in that sense, it's absolutely phenomenal. The amount of scope you've got to go anywhere and influence anyone to give you a job.
Yeah. Actually, there's a good question here. Thank you very much, Raha.
Thanks, Raha. Good luck.
Sarika, thank you very much for this question. I've gone backwards.
Yeah.
How to find a job when pandemic has decreased opportunities? So I love this question. There are always jobs out there. As a recruiter, we are trained to think, well, or to be more optimistic, shall we say, and there are always jobs out there. So yes, there would have been at one point, there was a complete kind of drop off. But I think things are starting to normalize now. I don't know, what you think about this, Pete, but basically don't concentrate on the negative things when it comes to a job search. You just keep moving forward. I think if you kind of spend too much time thinking, oh, there's not jobs out there, you'll be right, because you won't be searching. You've just got to stay positive, get yourself out there, keep contacting, keep finding new companies to contact. And just keep that forward momentum.
It's like any massive hiatus in the world. What happens is, it's like the Industrial Revolution, the IT revolution, and now the pandemic. What's happened to the world is the world has changed. And what Haley said is absolutely right. For every job that is now not going to be growing, there will be other jobs that have become much more buoyant because of the way we're now going to live our lives. So that might be, more online things. Look at the increase in Zoom. Look at the increase in, like people's houses. You're in the right business, Sarika, because hardware and, people's houses and their homes are now even more important because they're staying there longer. So guess what? They want to do them up. They want to, people want to buy pets in the UK, right? Pets that were costing like £500 for a pedigree dog are now costing £3,000 or £4,000 because you can't get the blooming dogs. Everyone wants a dog because they're not leaving the house. They want to make their little cozy nest better. So for every decrease in opportunity in the world, there's an increase somewhere else. And what you've got to do is think very carefully and strategically about your life and decide what you're going to do. Are you going to move? Are you going to retrain? Are you going to change? Or are you just going to niche down onto the thing you're already doing and just hope you can be one of the stars that gets the jobs?
Brilliant answer. Also, Sarika, this is another fact. 80% of jobs are never advertised. So if you're focusing, for all of you job seekers out there, if you're focusing solely on LinkedIn and job boards to try and find these jobs, it's going to take you forever. You need to get networking. You need to get yourself out there. And we talk a lot about LinkedIn and how to use LinkedIn in terms of your search. And I've lost my train of thought again. You just need to you need to start networking. And like I say, earlier on about your job search, target those companies and find those people. Better yourself with your CV and your LinkedIn and the message that you're sending, and you'll start to get inbound traffic once you start posting on LinkedIn and getting yourself out there. It's really important that you're seen.
And that's what I did. If you look at my journey on LinkedIn, I was trying to find a job. I couldn't find a job. I gave up looking for a job and I just went all in on LinkedIn, posting, commenting, engaging. And I got myself 2 job offers and I got one of those jobs and I didn't like the job, but the jobs were forthcoming. So, by putting yourself out there and growing a following, growing a community, you can bring jobs to you. It's a law of attraction, and LinkedIn is an amazing opportunity to do that and help you find that position for your next stage of your life. Yeah.
So really look at your CV and your LinkedIn as a lottery ticket, basically. Treat it, nurture it if it's not doing its job properly. But thank you very much for your questions, Sarika. So
great to see you, Sarika.
So where are we up to?
Our eyes in it.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
want to hear a joke?
Right. So, Domingo, thank you very much for your question. How significant are cover letters? So, I'm going to be controversial.
Go for it. Go on. Go on.
I don't tend to open them.
You're not.
I read the email. Most people's emails over the years, I've kind of been conditioned that the cover letter is pretty much the same as what's in the email. There's not a lot of difference. And also, I don't know if people really understand how to kind of, you want to put your added value over to someone. And it's just, they're all a bit me. I don't know. I'm not a massive fan of cover letters. Controversial.
So if you are going to do one, what I would say is, like with your CVs, right? You've got to do feature, advantage, benefit, right? What people do is they pepper their CVs and their letters with features. You know, I'm brilliant at this, I'm brilliant at that. But what you've got to do is lead the person from the feature. It's like, I'm a really good listener, as an example. You know, where's the example where that's been successful and it's helped the business you work for? That's the benefit. You've got to lead the person who's reading it from the feature, which is, I'm brilliant at leading teams. Okay, prove it. The advantage is that I've helped the business by doing this, and the benefit was we had a brilliant team that created £5 million more profit in
awesome.
Whatever.
Hire you immediately.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about, isn't it? You know, you want people to make a decision. You need to convince them to make a decision.
Features and benefits. Have a look at that. And you know, like with all these things, if you get half a glimpse of something that might be helpful to you, just get on YouTube, just go, how do I use features and benefits in a CV? And there'll be 100 videos that can tell you how to do it.
And if you want a course that does it for you, we've got them on AE Academy as well. So there's a section in there where you have to answer, I think it's probably about 60 questions about you as an individual, management, all of this kind of stuff. And then we teach you exactly how to put that together so that a hiring manager can just read through it and go, right, I need this person immediately. It makes your CV work harder, makes our job a lot easier, and you'll find a job a lot quicker as well.
Nice one.
Lovely. Thank you, Domingo, sorry. Right. Majid, sorry it's taken so long to get to your question. Advice, please, for 50 plus age for senior level jobs. It's exactly the same method. Pete, would you like to answer this?
Yeah. You know what? I would be very careful not to disqualify yourself. You know, I think the minute you just put yourself into some basket which says, you know, I'm an older, you know, the great thing about being 50 plus is that you are so experienced. You know, I mean, when you say 50 plus, I mean, you get there, it does come at an age where, you know, perhaps it might be a problem when you're 75 or something. But if you're healthy, there was a brilliant video on LinkedIn going back a year or so. And it was basically a bloke who'd been made redundant and couldn't get a job. And he did a load of press ups on the video and then got up and said, the reason I'm doing this is because I'm 60 and fit as a flea. So somebody needs to recruit me. And it went viral. It went like millions.
Oh, I love that. See, it's just about being different and, you know, getting yourself out there. It's still the same message. Just get yourself out there. No one's going to pick you up or see your details if you're not kind of putting your head above the parapet.
Yeah. And you don't, you know, like I'm 53. I mean, would you say I acted 53? Probably not. I'm never going to. So, you know, I don't think age has to be a barrier. But if you want it to be, and you get yourself into a little mindset which goes, age is a barrier, and I've got to behave like this, and this is how I am, and you know, you'll get yourself into a right little tiz. So don't do that.
Yeah, move forward. Just keep moving forward. That forward momentum will get you. Yeah, exactly.
You don't look anything like that age, anyway, Majid.
No,
45 minimum, maximum. Maximum.
Oh, but thank you very much for your question. So, I think this is a question. Great, thanks, Hayley and Peter. I'd like my CV to be what?
Vetted.
Oh, vetted, please. Could you? Yes, no problem. I shall send you a message. Or if you'd like to go to AE Academy website, it's aeacademy.ae, and get it across to me straight away, and we'll get it sorted for you.
Nice one.
Today, right? If you could put QU in front of the questions or an emoji, it'd be far easier, because otherwise I'm literally reading every single comment. Also, can everyone put "Let's connect" on here?
Yeah.
To grow your network. Everyone is in like the construction industry on this feed today, so you never know, you could have your next boss on this feed right now. So put "Let's connect" and start connecting with each other,
and we'll connect as well. So after when the feed is finished, loads of other people will come and watch this later. So we typically get like several thousand people watch it live and get a load of comments, but then within the next week more thousands of people will be looking at it, so they will then connect with you. So you could get like several hundred new connections.
I have an idea as well, like new job seekers out there who are looking for work. Start posting about you on LinkedIn and tag Pete and I in. We've got large networks here, so utilize them, start conversations and get things moving forward. So start posting, tag us in, we'll start commenting, so that our network starts to see your details too. And that's a great way of growing your network as well.
And you know how to do that, everybody? Just forgive me, I don't mean to be rude, but when the @ sign, the squiggly @ sign, in the comments, if you do a squiggly @ and then put Hayley and then put her name in, or @ and then Pete, and then what happens is, as soon as you write that comment then comes to my notifications and I can see it and Hayley can see it, and you go, oh, someone's mentioned me, and we go to the feed and we will comment and help you along. Excellent.
So Rajesh, can you share typical CV templates? Yes, they are on our website. So again, go to aeacademy.ae. There's free templates on there. What I would say when it comes to the templates, because I have seen people mess around with the templates that I've created. So there's some lovely designed ones on Canva. Do not mess with the layout itself, because I've put them all through the ATS system. They all work, but once you start faffing around with the boxes and moving them around everywhere, they don't work. So that's one thing I would say about the Canva ones, but they are pretty.
Nice one. Lovely picture, by the way, Rajesh. I like that.
Ooh, let me have a look. Oh, very nice.
Very good.
So,
listen to Abdul comment. I'm a regular listener and your advice had a major role in my landing this interview. I cannot thank you guys enough. I'm so chuffed for you, Abdul.
Congratulations.
Good luck. Good luck.
So sorry, I'm struggling to again read these. Right. Mahmood, hi Mahmood. How are you?
Hi Mahmood.
I've known Mahmood for a while now. Say, hey guys, could you explain what that means? Your CV uploaded here was a radiation. What? How to solve this? I have no idea where that error message is coming from, Mahmood. Would you like to send me an email, because I'm not sure what you're talking about here. Sorry.
No, I don't. That sounds like a virus.
I've no idea. Radiation. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. But yeah, sorry. Please send me an email on that one. So Ali, I can see a question mark here. If someone wants to change department for getting multiple experience with a company, what do you suggest? I'm a fresh graduate. Change department.
Okay, so I've got some great ideas for here, Ali. So the first thing is, you presume, obviously, you've not been in an office so much, so it makes it slightly difficult. But I would get the organogram, look at the departments you would like to be involved in, and then actively go and speak to the heads of departments and say something along the lines of, Debbie, you know, I'm so interested in your area of the business. Would you spend 20 minutes with me, just giving me a little bit of an introduction? And then you just get to talk to Debbie, and Debbie likes you. And guess what? And then if something comes up, Debbie will be more likely to say, tell you what, Ali's a good guy. You know, he already works here. What a brilliant opportunity to spread the love in the company. So
also, Ali, find out what they look for in people that they recruit. You know, ask the questions. Is there anything that I need to learn? Is there anything that I need to do to improve myself to be a successful candidate?
Yep.
You know, start asking these questions to companies and individuals, because, you know, there will be things that you may be lacking. And then, so if you are, go and learn them so that you're not.
Very well said. And the easy way to find that is, when I've done this through my career massively, is whatever department, whatever thing you're looking at that you want to be successful at, go and find the most successful person at it now and replicate what they're doing.
Love that. That's a great piece of advice.
Yeah, because these people, you know, they're not successful for nothing, you know, and what you've just got to be slightly careful of is you can't copy them. You can't be them. But what you can copy is their techniques and tips. So try and get that and put your own personality on it and get the same success, because these people, it's not unreal. People get success because of hard work and specific processes and approaches that they take.
Yeah, learning.
Learning. Very good.
So thank you very much, Ali. That's a great question.
Good luck, Ali.
Yeah, good luck. Let us know how you get on. So LinkedIn user, sorry, I don't know why I can't see who it is. 80% of job offers is a hidden market. So how do we reach this market? So it's like what I've been saying the whole way through this video. You need to start getting more proactive about your job search. Make a list of these companies that you want to work for, find out all the decision makers in those businesses, and start connecting with them, start making that emotional connection with them, like we keep saying. And you'll have a massive long list of kind of contacts once you go through. Look, like, if I would always say, look at around 200 to 250 companies, find all the contacts in those companies, you will get a job.
Simples.
And also, if you want help in the message that you're sending, we do have courses on this as well. So again, head to the website. It's down here. This whole left and right thing is really getting me today. You won't. So for everyone who's watching, this is my right. You know, I was doing this before, but on here it's kind of mirrored, so it's all a bit confusing.
Yep. And what another little tip there about the hidden market is, I would, as Hayley said, get yourself out there, put stuff out so that people are determined to get you to come and work for them.
Yeah. But
also make sure that you're, you know, perhaps like Hayley said, you know, find 100 or 200 firms and do something a bit different. Do a little script and send them personal voice messages of a little scripted thing with their name, and just like, hi, really nice to get in touch. Just wanted to say how excited I am by your company. Love to work in doing this. And, you know, a little voice message. I get a shed load of voice messages, messages, and only a few voice messages. And I always listen to the voice messages. Always.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I don't know, Khaled, if you're watching, I've got one of someone that I placed years ago. He always sends voice messages. I really like it. You can hear the tone. You understand, you know, I don't know what their thoughts are on that day, if they're in a good mood, if they're in a bad mood. But also, you know, you're putting across your personality to these hiring managers, which is great. You know, you don't want somebody working for you who's doom and gloom. Oh, and on that, look at your profile picture. Look at your profile picture. Is it a happy one, or is it a not so happy one? And go onto this website called Snapper, which is snappr.com, I think it is. So it analyzes your profile picture and lets you know what people kind of feel and think about your profile picture. It's a really good way to kind of, you want your profile to be as warm as possible. So, you know, and for you to be as approachable as possible. So use all these little tips and tricks to kind of win people over.
Yeah, I do think smiling, it's a personal thing. It depends what, and, I see people with sunglasses on, with looking away into the distance with, not a picture of not even themselves. And that's fine. But you've got to be honest with yourself. If you've got no picture, or it's a picture of a dog and it's not you, are you going to get a job with that? And if that's your goal, don't have a picture like that, because it's not going to work.
Well, it's about how you're making the reader feel, isn't it, at the end of the day? If you go onto somebody's profile and they've got a video which is really bubbly and everything, you're far more likely to want to work with that individual.
Yeah, and that is what it's about. You get a feeling, don't you?
Yeah, and it's like these videos. Yeah.
Welcome,
question. Thank you so much for putting question before. Abdul, how to deal with butterflies before an important interview? I have a job interview at a company I really wanted to work with, but I'm constantly worried I might screw it up or may not be able to answer one of their questions. So
well, I've got a couple of great ones for this, right? So I suffered from nerves lots of times in my career, and the biggest thing that helps me is really careful breathing. So it's the 6, 7, 8. So breathe in for 6 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, and then breathe out for 8 seconds. And I tell you, if you do that 3 times, you will be as calm as a Hindu cow.
Pete gets me to do these before our lives as well.
It's honestly 6 seconds, breathe in really slowly, hold your breath for 7 seconds, then breathe out for 8 seconds. And the other thing is, if you're feeling nervous, just blow on your hand. Try that.
Why? What's that do?
It works. But the key thing is, don't get too tied up with nerves, because you know what? You will be fine. And to get too stressed about these things is to overplay it. I know it's important, but you know what? You're important too. So just stay cool.
I like that. So Abdul, my advice would be, if you've prepared for your interview, so I would do your research on the person I would do research on the person that's interviewing you, research on the company, and make sure that you know your features and benefits for this interview. And once you have that, once you're planned and ready to go, prepared, you'll feel so much better about the interview, because you'll know all the answers to these questions. At the end of the day, you're selling you. You should know the answers to these questions. So, but just planning and preparation will help you get through. And don't focus on the negative, because focusing on the negative isn't going to help. Just focus on winning that job and just giving the hiring manager what they're looking for. And I'm sure you'll be amazing. Come back and let us know how you get on, please. I really want to know.
Just one additional piece, right? One of my things that I love is silence. And you know what? You can, in an interview, when somebody asks you a question, you can stay silent for 5 seconds and still recover the situation. And 5 seconds is excruciating. But as soon as you've answered, it's better to have waited in silence and answer correctly than just trip over your words and say it wrong, because the silence will be forgotten, the mistake will not.
I've also got a question for you to ask the hiring manager in your interview. When it comes to them saying, do you have any questions for me? Say, yeah, I do have a question, actually. And if you've got other questions, obviously go run through them. But say, what do I have to do? Say you hired me and you look back and think, he was a great hire. What do I have to do to be that great hire? You know, you're showing that the hiring manager actually has to visualize you in that job, and which is incredibly powerful when it comes to kind of, making a decision on that individual. So they had to think about you in the job and have to answer, right, well, what does he have to do?
Yeah,
and then,
very good.
So, second interviews, etc. There will be a plenty. Once you kind of put the shoe on the other foot, what do I need to do for you to be a great hire?
Yeah. And don't forget, these people are human, you know, and generally when you're sat in front of an interviewer, they want you to be good. They're rooting for you. They're not sitting there thinking, oh my God, I hope this person dies on their backside. You know, that's just not how people are built.
Yeah.
So they want you to be good. So, you know, embrace that and be good.
I love that. Oh, thank you, Abdul. I've just read that. I'm a regular listener, and your advice has a major role in me landing this interview.
Good man. I
Please
hope you get the job.
Let us know how you get on. I can't wait to find out. I'm so pleased for you.
Yeah, me too. Good luck.
Yeah, great work. Well, I'm going to have trouble pronouncing your name properly. I'm so sorry. Subramanian.
Subramanian. Great name.
Yeah. Will changing jobs frequently help me get a good salary? No. Not necessarily. I see there are some employers that really don't like people who jump around, and you really shouldn't be using it as a means to get a better salary. You should be learning to get a better salary. You know, what do you need to move up the hiring ladder? The hierarchy. You know, what do the people, like Pete said earlier on, you know, you will have super high flyers in your job. Do you want their job? Go and have a word with them and find out what you need to learn to move up the chain, rather than just jumping from job to job. It doesn't look great on a CV. Some hiring managers won't hire people who have jumped around too much. You know, you should be using it for kind of other move on for the experience, not the salary.
I agree with that, but there is some validity in that. Sometimes if you stay in a position for too long, I think the frequently bit is the problem. But if you stay in a job, you know, sometimes you may be overlooked and there may be a much bigger salary for effectively the same job available with your skill level. And that's justified. You know, if you obviously money is an important factor in your employment. And I think Hayley's right. It shouldn't be your main factor, but it should be a factor. And if you're not getting enough money, you probably should look to try and move or get them to increase your salary. But yeah, it's a definite no-no from CVs. I've many times when I've had loads of CVs, I've literally just said, okay, people are moving every 6 months. I'm not even interviewing them, not even going near them. So you are going to suffer from that if you do it too much, even if there's been a really good reason and you've made the move rather than someone moving you on.
Yeah, I mean, it's the REC did a study a few years ago on the cost of hiring a bad hire. So somebody at and I'm not suggesting you are, by the way, but it's just made hiring managers very aware of the cost of recruiting. So this study concluded that making a bad hire can cost a business up to £132,000 because, you know, their colleagues are demotivated, people start leaving. Hiring itself is an expensive exercise. So, you know, hiring managers want to make sure that they get it right. If they see that you're job hoppy, in their mind, they're like, oh, you know, we're going to train this guy and he's going to move on. That is not a great use of our time. So just be conscious about that kind of moving around too often.
Yeah, thanks for the question.
Yeah, thank you very much. So next one. Well, I can't pronounce your name. I do apologize. I can't read Arabic, but thank you very much for your question. I think that the CV reflects your job experiences. During the interview, you'll be asked about a job that is not mentioned in the CV.
How do they know about it then?
Sorry?
How do they know about the job if it's not on the CV? I don't really understand that.
No, I don't understand that either. Could you explain that a little bit more? So explain that a different way, because yeah.
I think if it's getting to, it suggests to me that you're implying don't include some things on your CV that are true, and I would suggest that you be very careful, you know, being, you know, sparing with the truth. You should be very truthful. There's a way of spinning things, but don't lie.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, your CV, you're trying to build trust in the person that's trying to hire you. You want them to trust you. So I've personally had CVs in the past where people have lied. And that raises a lot of question marks. If there's inconsistencies, like if your CV and your LinkedIn read differently in any way, shape or form, I mean, I'm not saying any way, shape, let's scrub that bit out. But if there are consistencies, so I've seen CVs before where on their CV it says they're an architect, on LinkedIn it says they're a civil engineer. What are you? You know, automatically, I'm never going to touch that person again. But I've also had people who have actually taken out some of the companies they've worked for. And again, I do actually remember, I was saying to Pete before this, I have a bit of a photographic memory with things, because I find it a bit odd when people do stuff like that. I like honesty. So I would always be truthful when it comes to your CV.
Me too.
You'll get found out. It's very difficult to keep up alive for so many years.
Yep. True.
Would you be sharing the link for the recording of this event? This is the link. This post is the link. So
so basically you go to Hayley's profile, and if you look at her posts, this will be in her posts.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Pete. Every time I'm working for a company, after 1 year, I'm struggling with my atmosphere. How to overcome this atmosphere in the job? Well, yeah, that's a tricky one to answer. I mean, we're all a product of, you know, the environment. So I think you as an individual, if you're struggling with a team, etc., it's all our responsibilities to have a great team and great working environment. So create that. You start the trend, and everyone else will follow. You know, we want to go to work. We want to enjoy being at work because, you know, we spend a lot of time doing it. So create that for yourself, and it will start to kind of, and check people out. I'd be like, do you realize you're making me feel this way? And it's not creating the best environment, and start talking to people about it. How do you want to feel when you go to work? You know, and then start changing it that way.
The relationships at work are not unlike your relationships in your personal life. Yeah. If you get home every night and don't speak to your wife or girlfriend and go to bed, you know, it's not going to take long before he or she gets very fed up with you. So, you know, you've got to invest in the relationships at work, just like any other relationships. So I guess the question I would ask you, Supermanian, if that's right, sorry, but is, are you putting in the necessary effort to tend the relationships to make sure that the atmosphere is a good one? And, you know, you can get away with that for a certain amount of time. But if you continue not to engage or not to be part of a team or a group or a community, then people will eventually start getting fed up. And that's when the problems might start.
Yeah.
I hope that helps.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the question. We haven't had a question like that ever. So thank you. Right, another one. Septina, thank you very much for putting Q before your question. Anyone else who has some questions, please put question or an emoji in front. So how would you answer the question, why do you want to leave your current role? If you don't have any real concrete reason, but just want to move on. I mean, everyone's got a reason to move on.
There's always a reason.
Sorry?
There's always a reason. There's got to be a reason, otherwise you wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. So, I mean, what is the reason? Ooh.
Yeah.
So,
go on.
Still wait. So, you know, are you looking for more experience in a different sector? Are you looking to, I don't know. There's lots of reasons. Maybe you want to work for that particular company. They're working on really exciting projects, etc. You know, really kind of think about why you're even looking for a job. You know, what has started this kind of forward momentum into kind of searching for a job? It is quite a labor-intensive kind of exercise. So there has to be a motivation behind you wanting to do that.
But be very careful that you don't, you know, it might be, you know, selfishly, you might honestly sit there and think, I just want more money. Don't say that.
Don't say that.
Because nobody wants to hear that. It may be partly the truth, you know, that you are looking for more money, but in itself, in essence, that's not a good enough reason to be looking for another job, and people will not give you a job on that basis. You've got to be, you know, what is it? It's to grow my experience. It's because I've got more to offer. The job became too small for me. You know, we agreed together that really it's time for me to move to pastures new because I've learned, you know, and I've mastered that job. And, you know, we between us understand that there's nowhere for me to go right now. You can really create a story which is the truth, but every story has a certain level of slant on it, and it's got to be a slant that makes you look positive, you know, makes you shown in a positive light.
Yeah. And also, you know, as a hiring manager, you don't want to hear, I'm just looking for a salary, because as the hiring manager's like, have I just wasted my time for that? You know, you're trying to form an emotional connection with that individual. You know, why do you want to work for them? Yeah, so I would just make it a little bit more kind of, tailored to the individual and why you want to work for them. You know,
creative. Get a piece of paper and just brainstorm. Why am I doing this? And if you can't think of a reason, ask some friends to think why they would be doing it. Look at the company and get a decent story, because without a decent story, you're going to fall at the first hurdle.
Yeah.
I think we're running out of time, Hayley.
We are indeed. What do you want to do? We've got a few more questions here.
We can.
No, it's been a long one today.
I know we can carry on if you want, but I'm not sure. What do you think?
Well, so we'll carry on with the ones that are here. So after Raha, if we've got any others, we'll come back to you later. Always remember that we are on LinkedIn all the time, and if you keep commenting and asking more questions, we will come back to you. So don't feel like you're missing out. Also, we will be here next week as well.
And I will be here tomorrow at the same time on LinkedIn Live with a very special opportunity that I would love you to come and listen to. So 12 o'clock tomorrow, please come to my profile, LinkedIn Live, with me and my friend Alison.
Awesome. So Isra, hi Hayley and Peter, what is the best way to approach recruiters and hiring managers, as sometimes one doesn't get a response from them? Thanks in advance, you're very welcome. So it's, again, we are kind of going over old kind of ground that I've already said on this feed. But basically, you want to make it an emotional connection with the person that you are sending your CV through in some way, shape, or form. You know, if you're cut and pasting your email, so everyone gets the same you know, exactly the same. I am an architect, I'm this, I'm that, I've got 10 years experience, blah, blah, blah. People on the receiving end will get that from hundreds, if not thousands, of job seekers. So be different. You know, find out a bit more information about the company or the individual. What are your commonalities with that individual, and put that in your email or message, whichever. You're far more likely to get a response. Obviously, you're not going to get a response every time, but you know, you want to trigger that kind of decision to reply back to you. Oh, what a lovely woman Isra is. You know, I'll get back to her. You know, what a lovely message. So you want to make that emotional connection with someone to get a response.
Follow up as well. Be the squeaking wheel. Don't leave it at one follow up. You know, if they're not coming back to you, ring them again. And, you know, what I always found was, if you're writing an email, you acknowledge that they're busy. I totally understand how busy you are, and I'm sorry to be taking up your time. It would really be kind of you if you wouldn't mind coming back to me. This makes people want to help you. And a great one I always said, there's an alternate close. You say, oh, I really wanted to speak to you. I could ring you at 3 o'clock, or I could ring you at 3:30. Either of those answers, that you're winning. That's called an alternate close. So give them two options, and both of the options you're happy with, and they'll pick one. So if you say to someone, do you want a drink? They say no. If you say tea or coffee, they say one of the two.
Yeah.
That's the case.
Great. I like that. Thanks, Pete. So Takas, how to answer the question about gap on resume CV? If we are actively applying for jobs, then HRD, hiring director, HR director asks, are you applying in other companies? How to answer? I've never, so that's a few questions there. How to, the gap in your CV. Yeah, you've really got to kind of think about that. Maybe, I mean, I think lots of people are kind of worried at the moment because of the pandemic, etc. How do I answer this? If a hiring manager can't see that, you know, we are going through difficult times, do you really want to work for that person? You know, it's been about the pandemic, the company, you know, shut up shop, etc. It's really unfortunate that I've been in this position, but you know.
Don't stay. If someone says to you, "Oh, I see you've got a 6-month gap in your CV," and you say, "Yeah, I was sat at home watching Netflix most of the time. I got through a great deal of box sets." Guess what? You're not going to get a job. But if you said, "Oh, you know what? I learned how to do this. I learned how to do that. I got a degree, you know, a skill in this. I filled my time, but you know, I was still really keen to get a job. But obviously, you know, times were tough, and you know, but I was not." You know, I was not idle for any of that time.
Yeah,
that's really important.
That's really, really important. That's
great. And if someone says, "Are you looking with? You know, have you been applying to other companies?" I would have no hesitation to say, you know, if you have, yes, and you know, and say, and I've got quite a lot of interest already. If you have, obviously, don't fib. But you know,
I don't know
be lying.
That question.
Say again.
I don't know anyone that asked that question. I mean, look, from our perspectives as recruiters, if a client of ours comes back to us and says, "Oh, I'm really interested in that person," we will normally say, "Well, just so you know, they are on interview elsewhere. You know, hurry along, make that decision. If you want them, they're not going to be around for long." You know, people want something that's in short supply or
that's a buying sign. If someone says to you, are you seeking other companies? That's a buying signal. And the answer is, yes, I am, but I definitely would prefer to work for you.
Yeah. Yeah. But thank you very much for your questions.
Thanks.
So LinkedIn user, sorry, I don't know who this is, but when they ask about salary, what's your salary expectation? What is the right answer? So
£1 million.
No, Pete, that's the wrong answer. Wrong.
2 million?
Yes. So in the recruitment world, we have, I train the hiring managers to not really ask this question, only because it's like asking a child what they want for Christmas. Oh, well, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. You know, I would say most people fib when it comes to this. So I would always say, right, look, this is my current salary. I am looking for a little bit more. You know, be realistic. If you're looking for a job to raise your salary, then, you know, I don't know. I would always be honest about what you're on at the moment, and then ask them, you know, what are you paying? You know, you don't want to get less than what you're on at the moment. You want to be fair, but I wouldn't like say some wild answer. You know, we've had people before that are on 10,000 dirhams, and then they said, oh, you know, I want 25. No, that's unrealistic.
I would start the answer to that question with, look, this is anything but about the money. I want you to understand, you know, I'm not here to get more money, but clearly, you know, I would be a fibber if I told you it wouldn't be great to get some more money. But that is absolutely not the expectation or the desire. The desire is to get the brilliant job, which is what I think I can get with you.
I love that answer. That was much better than mine. There you go, LinkedIn user.
I think we ought to call it a day there. There's a couple of things we need to say, Hayley. Like, first is, like, everybody, as Hayley already said, we will continue to answer the questions. And if we have missed you, sorry about that. If you've come back again, if you're new, thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. It's really kind of you, and you know, your support is appreciated, and we hope we're adding some value. We are here every week, and both please you come, we'd love to see you again and think of some new questions. But also, if you've got any friends or colleagues that you think could benefit, please bring them along, or at least send them the link. And, you know, let's grow this audience, this group, which is a fantastic community that we're very proud to be part of.
Yeah, and also like Abdul, who's got interviews, you know, if you start listening, you get forward momentum and get those interviews in. So well done to Abdul. Really, really proud of you.
Well done. And just finally, everybody, please put in the comments, let's connect. Let's connect. Happy to connect. And everyone will connect with you. Not seen much there. So, you know, please do that.
Yeah, so thank you so much for everyone who's joined us today. Thank you so much for your questions. Well done to Abdul, and we really look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, everyone. All the very best.
Take care.